Hi, and welcome to Marketing Girl, the podcast where a real life marketing girl, me, gives you the insights into what's been happening in marketing and communications. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Natalia. I have over a decade of experience in marketing and communications. If you want to learn more about me, just watch episode 1 of this podcast and you'll be able to hear about my career and where it's at the moment. So, this is episode 3. I have a bit of a sniffle, so apologies about that. So if that comes across in this podcast, I'm so sorry about it. What I do with this podcast is that I try to do it in one take. So I'm hoping that the sniffle isn't annoying, but let's see how it goes. I don't know if I'm going to have to cut it. I'll see how it goes. Okay, so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a topic that is really fascinating, and okay, let me set up the premise. So, you're a marketer. You've reached the top of your career, and you've now got the chance to lead a brand that's known for innovation and creativity, a $1 billion global brand, and take it to the next level. And they announce your appointment, and you think, okay, well, I've had a great career so far. I've done this before. I've worked in the industry, client side, agency side, and, I'm ready for this. But then the share price of this company comes down. That is exactly what has been happening to the newly appointed CEO of Lululemon, Heidi O'Neill. So Heidi is a marketer who will take the position of CEO at Lululemon from October 2026. She has a 25-year history at Nike in a diverse range of roles, including President, Consumer Product and Brand. She was there at Nike when it basically went from a $9 billion brand to a $45 billion brand. Lululemon currently stands as a $11 billion brand. She has worked with a diverse range of brands. She has an agency background as well, and she's held many board positions. Brands she's worked with include Spotify, Hyatt Hotels, and Levi Strauss & Co. From my perspective, she is an incredibly qualified marketer and 100% deserves this role. But shareholders don't think so. And there's a couple of reasons that this has actually happened. Now, with Heidi, what she wants to do with this brand, it also makes logical sense. She wants to acknowledge the fact that it's a brand where there's a product orientation that's rooted in innovation, that there's a brand that's going to continue to have product breakthroughs. She wants to deepen the brand's cultural reference and unlock global markets. Now, something has been happening at Lululemon since 2023, and that has been that the former CEO has deemed the brand to be uncool. And he has been actually on a campaign to appoint certain people onto the board of Lululemon so that it can go back to its roots. So Chip Wilson was the founder of Lululemon. Now, Chip is an interesting character because as a marketer, I like to think of Chip as basically a CEO that is great for a startup that wants to scale up quickly. So Chip founded Lululemon in 1998. Now, the thing was, 1998 was a very, very different time to what it is now, obviously. So when he founded Lululemon, what they did was that they designed the pants, these yoga pants, and they had also a yoga studio. So as they called it, it was a design studio by day, yoga studio by night. They had this amazing leggings, which were made out of a fabric called Luon. And they revolutionized yoga leggings. Now, I personally had my own experience with trying on Lululemon and trying on the fabric of their leggings and comparing that to others. And I have to say, at that particular time, which was in about 2017, I was so incredibly impressed. I remember going to Lululemon, going to the store, which was beautifully fitted out, going into the changing rooms and the shop assistant writing my name on the whiteboard that was attached to the changing room door, and then saying, these leggings are going to change your life. And I was not really expecting it, but I remember walking out of Lululemon with more than one pair of leggings thinking, yes, these leggings are 100% going to change my life, because they allowed me to move like a yogi. The comfort level of these leggings is something that I had not experienced before. And I was a fan of Lululemon since. And back then, 2016, 2017, Lululemon was super cool. It was the brand that the yoga teachers wore, the hot, gorgeous yoga teachers that I was learning yoga from. They wore these Lululemon leggings and Lululemon tops and everything, and they looked amazing in them. And as someone, you know, who wanted to kind of emulate their style, I loved the fact that I could do that in my Lululemon leggings, which I'm actually wearing today as well. I've got a pair of them on, and this is the kind of thing that I would wear to yoga. Because I don't know if you know, but I actually was a yoga teacher, so I don't teach it anymore. But at one particular point, yoga teaching was a thing for me, and I had dreams of even starting my own yoga studio at one particular point. There's actually a lot of marketers who are yoga teachers these days, and I think it comes from this like community ethos and everything, because yoga really gives you the opportunity to kind of meld a lot of things in your life together. So Chip Wilson's been on a campaign, and he's even created a website. So you can visit the website if you'd like to. So this website, which is basically about bringing back the cultural significance of Lululemon. It's called Creative First Lulu. It talks about these potential board members, and it talks about why Lululemon was founded. Now, having a website out, and he not only did that, he put out ads in like the Wall Street Journal about this topic as well since 2023, has definitely probably eroded a brand confidence, because Lululemon it's a Canadian brand. It's listed on the NASDAQ, but it's a Canadian brand. It's from Vancouver. It's you know, a brand that had, as I mentioned, you know, really small grassroots in terms of being a studio and then selling the leggings. It's a brand that's gone through a significant amount of change over the past 20 years or close to 30 years of its existence. And him doing this definitely would have put doubts about Heidi's capabilities as a CEO. So that's something the brand has been, you know, obviously working on in the background. But as a marketer, I can only imagine the strain that she would be feeling in that situation. But I guess also the excitement in being able to prove people wrong would be something that personally would keep me going. Now, Lululemon is also a brand that has had controversies. It's had a lot of controversies, and a lot of them actually sat with the old CEO. Now, this CEO has had some anti-Asian sentiment, where in terms of the pronunciation of Lululemon, he's basically said that it's hard for Japanese people to pronounce it. He's also made some comments that are fat phobic, and also he's reinforced the fact that the brand is made for that particular muse that I talked about before, the North Star. Lululemon also had a sheer leggings controversy in 2013 where these leggings, which are definitely not sheer, the ones I'm wearing, but a particular type of Lululemon leggings were sheer. And as practicing yoga, that's one of my fears, is to be practicing yoga in sheer leggings. So I can understand the stress of that. They've had issues with their labour and supply chain as well. And in April 2026, they're actually being sued around PFAS, or forever chemicals as they're called, which can cause cancer, which in the US they're claiming that basically Lululemon clothing has this chemical in it. Now they claim that they haven't had the chemical since 2023. Lululemon's not the only brand that has had this chemical, but the thing is that this is not great for them from a PR perspective, because they're being singled out when other apparel brands are also using it. So Lululemon's had like that kind of renegade brand, similar to like a, like almost like a, not, I wouldn't say a Tesla, but maybe like an Apple or something back in the day, where it is what it is, and you take it or leave it. But then does that actually create a global brand? That's really the question, because now the intent is on growing the brand, and the brand has actually been growing in Asian markets or emerging markets, but it hasn't been growing in the US market where it's really established, a mainstay. The industry itself went from an industry where Lululemon was one of the main players and it had a superior product, to one where now there's a lot of brands that are carrying similar products, similar quality, potentially lower price point, and the product at the moment isn't enough to differentiate Lululemon from the others. On top of that, we've had brands like Alo come in. So Alo was an interesting example because it was founded in 2007, which was interestingly the year that Lululemon launched its IPO. So they came in at the right time, and they aligned themselves with celebrities like Taylor Swift and Bella Hadid. And basically, they took that concept of a community and they put a digital and physical layer on top of it. While Lululemon went more into the retail space, what Alo did was that it didn't forget about the grassroots of yoga, which is about practicing it, having studios. So now there's like there's Alo Studios, which do yoga. There's Alo Wellness Club, which is an app. And there's even what's called a glow system for great skin, because a lot of yoga teachers have great skin. That's one of the benefits of yoga. It can transform your skin, because I think personally the reason it does this is that you breathe better, and then you sleep better, you eat better. And that is actually what creates the skin. I'm not sure about these products, but who knows? There's been brands like Nike, which, Heidi worked for, and they've been collaborating with brands like Skims, really popular influencer-led brand that is defining cool. So there's others, LNDR, Gymshark, which are more in that gym space, but have definitely got into this yoga space as well. And in Australia, there's a brand Nimble, which is kind of like Lululemon. If you've ever tried their products, they're pretty similar. I haven't really noticed much of a difference, to be honest. I like them because they also have an N on them, which is my first initial of my name. But that's just me. And it's a local brand, so I love supporting local brands as well. There's trends going on too. Gen Z has ruled, if you've watched TikToks. leggings as being uncool. Like the skinny jean, leggings are uncool because they're not baggy, and Gen Z loves anything baggy. And yes, Lululemon, amongst the others, does make a flared version of these yoga pants, but millennials are losing their cool, and Lululemon is very much a Gen X millennial brand, and with it, the audience has grown up with the brand. So there's a lot going on there that wasn't initially there for them. They're in a more complex company structure. There's brands like Aloe that are super cool. Nike, really stepping up its collaborations and continuing to define what's cool, because Nike has been a cool brand for a long time now. And Gen Z really just saying, no, this is not cool. Leggings are not cool. So it puts this CEO in a very interesting position about what she's going to do with this brand. As a marketer, I feel like they've got to do something around those three pillars that I mentioned before. They have to have product breakthroughs because they came in with an innovative product, and they have grown their product range. It's not like they've just stood with one product and wrote it out. They've created all kinds of products. They had fabrics called Nulu, and Luon was the first one. They've had innovations in that space. They've even been sued by Nike at one point around patent infringements on shoes, which Lululemon was successful in fighting off. They've had products that have been for men. It's not just for women. And if you do visit their website and have a look at their branding, it is very wholesome. There is something really to be said about that yoga ethos coming into the brand. It's a wholesome place. The models that they're using are wholesome. The products are pretty conservative in terms of the look overall when compared to brands like Aloe, for example, or Skims. And you can kind of feel like these products are of quality. They have been, deepening the brand's cultural reference. They've had some products that have gone viral online, like some of recently it's been like more of the tops, but they have been working on that, and they have been going into, as I mentioned, emerging markets. But what hasn't been there, this goes back to Chip Wilson's point, is that North Star. Have they lost their way? And can a billion-dollar business actually keep its North Star? I think from my perspective, I do actually think that. And especially a North Star like this one, where it's the woman who inspires culture, not just follows it. It really could. They have to tap back into their original audience, yoga teachers, because if you go to a yoga studio today, there's a very good chance that your teacher will not actually be wearing Lululemon, because Lululemon has not been as prevalent in the yoga community as what they could be. Like Aloe has their studios in the US, and that's something if they did this in Australia, they definitely could capture some of that studio space, especially if they have such a strong North Star in terms of what they want their teachers to embody. There's also the fact that they have known what's cool. So once you know it, sometimes it's easier to get it back. And Chip does have a point there. You put the right people in the right seats, you can get that back. But then the other side of this is that it is not a startup. It's a business that is heading on a growth trajectory as they want it to be. And it's a brand that has then, as a result, obligations that it needs to meet, which make it more complex than what it was before. So it's a bit of a different equation that happens when you're in this situation. And I know people from the software industry who watch this podcast probably also know what I mean by that as well. But it's something that's not as simple as just create innovative products and hire cool marketers to work there and everything fixes itself. There's a lot more layers going on as well. I think that they're in a good position. I think they've chosen a suitable CEO, and I actually think this is the right choice for them. Let's see how they go. There's obviously other things within the business that, like all those controversies that have happened, unfortunately, that does impact the marketing and the culture of the business. And those are definitely things that they're going to have to work on. But I'm excited to hopefully see from Lululemon, to experience that feeling I got when I tried on those leggings. I'm excited to actually have that potentially happen again, because that has to have been one, as a yoga teacher and at that time a yoga student, a defining moment for me, because I realized I could do so much more yoga and really enjoy yoga so much more. So I wanted to leave it at that with this podcast, because I do wish them well. In episode 4, I'm still thinking about what I should cover, but if you have ideas, let me know. DM me or leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Also, please do subscribe to my podcast. Like, I would love to have you subscribe, because then you get notifications of when my podcast is out, and you'll be able to get my next episode. I'd love to talk to you as well. So feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn as well. My name is on this podcast, so just connect with me using that name. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.